Good morning. Welcome to Crop Talk with Karston. I'm Karston Donovan, and with the spring sales closing deadline fast approaching, with that being March 15th, to be able to make crop insurance changes for your coverages on spring crops. If you had winter wheat, you wouldn't be able to make changes to spring wheat, but you still can make changes to dry peas, mustard, barley, all of those spring-only types. So just wanted to make a video of kind of a top 5 things to keep in mind before the spring deadline. So let's get into it. Top 5 items in my mind this year for growers in at least our area is, with the added subsidy for SCO and ECO, making that election, or at least quoting it out and see if it's worthwhile for you now due to the added subsidy. So taking a look at SCO, ECO, it's much cheaper than it has been in prior years. So if you haven't had it in the past, I highly, highly recommend taking a look at it and possibly adding that to your policy. Like we talked about, with the added subsidy amounts that came from the changes that we've been talking about, possibly adjusting your coverage levels, maybe going from 70 to 75 or 75 to 80. You can go all the way up to 85% coverage levels. All in all, with the added subsidies, lesser price, also the volatility factors being lower this year than they have been in prior years, it's very possible for you to increase coverage but still pay less than what you did last year or in prior years for your crop insurance. Also add some endorsements or policy options, such as quality loss or the contract price option, and a list of some others, but those are the main ones that come to mind. For instance, quality loss is available for dry peas. This is the first year it's been available for dry peas, so I can guarantee you haven't had it in prior years, so maybe take a look at adding that to your policy so that you can keep your APH as high as possible. Contract price also allows you to use your contract price if it's allowed. For instance, if you're an organic grower, you can use your contract price. But even if, for instance, you're a conventional grower, and for dry peas, for instance, if you have a seed contract, it allows you to use a contract price. Also, take a look at whether or not optional or enterprise makes sense for you. And I think the biggest aspect of that, especially on spring crops, that you can use to your advantage is, it is, for instance, possible for you to be able to have enterprise on your lentils, for instance. You do enterprise by type, but then optional on your, let's say, green peas or chickpeas. You just have to make that designation prior to this sales closing deadline. So there is a lot of different tools nowadays with enterprise units that allows you to structure it in a way that makes sense for you and what your plan is for this year. Also, just make sure that you insure all even remotely possible crops. So even if you don't think you're going to seed flax, for instance, but it's maybe just a back-end thought in your mind, add it to your policy, add the coverage. Because ultimately, if you don't add that coverage by March 15th, add that crop and add coverages for it. Let's say when seeding begins, you end up deciding to seed flax. If you didn't add it by March 15th, you're not going to be able to get coverage. So flax is just an example. All of those different crops that are even a remote thought in your mind, make sure you get those added before the deadline. That's kind of the top 5 items. A couple other items just wanted to touch on really quickly is that if you are a new farmer or you are farming in a new county for the first year, fill out and sign an intended acreage report. That just allows you to have prevent plant coverage in that county. Because, for instance, if you haven't farmed in that county or you're a new farmer, you don't have any history for them to go off of. So if you're a new farmer or farming in a new county, fill out an intended acreage report prior to the March 15th deadline. Also, especially in the spring, it's definitely highly recommended to have the added county election. What that just does is you're going to have a primary county. So, for instance, let's say you farm in Hill County. That's where you've always farmed. Hill County might be your primary county, but it is very possible, especially in today's day and age with farms up for sale or whatever. Let's say that you don't have, for instance, Blaine County listed on your coverage because you had no land there. But let's say after March 15th, maybe the middle of April, you now have land in Blaine County, and you obviously, because you didn't know at that time, didn't have it on your policy. As long as you have the added county election and designate your primary county, then you will be able to get coverage in that new county, and it'll just follow whatever coverages you have in that primary county. So ultimately, it doesn't hurt you at all or add any premium. It's just very beneficial in that specific case. Also, just of note, omega-3 is now a type for canola. One thing to note on that is you do need a contract in order for it to be insured as omega-3. So the benefit of that, just for you just to note, I guess, is that you can use your contract price to determine your insurance guarantee. So just wanted to get the information out and make a quick, easy to digest video for you guys, just to kind of keep in mind when you're looking at those coverage changes prior to the deadline. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. That's what we're here for, and have a great day.